Good morning and welcome to Paul T's World. And in this video I'm going to take a leisurely look round the front garden. It's right at the end of March, beginning of April, and let's see what's growing. The rhubarb's looking really good. Already pulled 5 stalks. And next to the rhubarb are the gooseberries. So I've fed them with manure. I've got 2 bushes. One of them was planted by a previous owner, this one, and then it's self-seeded, and so I planted this one. Here are the 2 azaleas that I planted last year. It's going to be interesting to see what colours they are. And here are the spectacular established azaleas, with the choicea behind. Now I can see that the choicea was burnt a little bit this winter. The winter wasn't too bad for us here right on the west coast, but we did get some frosts, and here we can see some brown patches on the choicea. I have to cut this choicea back quite often because it's quite rampant. I don't want it to grow over my azalea here. Here's my second camellia, the red one. I'm really pleased to see the buds forming on the rhododendron, the azaleas, and my paniculata hydrangea. Oh, it's going to look gorgeous this year. There's buds everywhere. The little dwarf rhododendron is past its best, but there's still plenty of flowers. And this mophead hydrangea has got some nice growth on it. Here is the laurel that I cloud pruned, still looking good. The sedums, I've cut them back and I've split them. So I literally cut them in half. You can just see here, that's one that was cut in half from one of these others. There was one that I didn't like too much, and that was the Macrona. The leaves never look good to me, so I've actually dug them out and put some new spectabula in here. Now I'm going to need a little help here. I have an evergreen clematis. Now when I put it in for the first 2 years it was magnificent, but I'm not quite sure how to prune it, and I'm obviously getting it wrong, because it's looking very tatty. It does have some nice flowers to come. So I've grown it along underneath this bedroom here. And here we can see plenty of flowers are forming here. But it's not looking too happy. The penstemons need cutting back a little bit more. They're very old, very straggly, and I want to rejuvenate them. They have the most gorgeous red bells right the way through the summer. I've got a buddleia back here that I pruned back in October, November. I'm actually going to prune it further. It grows so vigorously, I'll take another 3 feet off it. You can take these buddleia back as far as you like, as long as you leave some leaves below the cut. Here in Britain, really, it would have been better to have done them maybe a month or so ago. You can see here that they produce leaves and shoots right out of the stem, not just at the top of a stem. Oh, and there's a little ladybird sitting there on a leaf. There's been lots of ladybirds around recently. Here's the white mophead hydrangea. Now, I said in another video that my Forsythia wasn't doing very well, but in fact, maybe I was just a week or two early. That's not bad at all. But as soon as it's finished flowering, I'm going to cut it right back. And as one of my viewers said, maybe it's best to also cut inside to rejuvenate the inside of the bush. And that's what I'll do. I think that's a great idea. The flowering currant is still flowering. I've cut back the potentilla. First time I've cut it back actually, and really it's best to cut things back each year rather than doing a massive cut back after say 5 years, which is what I did with this Philadelphus. I cut that right back, it'll be fine, but it won't recover to its former glory for a few years. Oh, and here we have a little row of peonies. Now, if you have peonies, now is a good time to stake them. Always easier to stake a plant before it's grown too far. And behind that is a little lilac. The Drummondii hasn't got its leaves yet. It's rather late with its leaves. Here's another set of sedum. I've cut the stalks off now, did that last week. And really I should split that. It helps perennial plants if you split them. It invigorates them, and also you double your plant number. All the bluebells at the back here are getting ready to flower in May. My pyrrhuses are not doing well. This is a variegated pyrrhus, and the bottom bit of the pyrrhus has reverted to its normal colour of green. It's more vigorous, but I've left it at the bottom here, the vigorous non-variegated part, because I quite like it matching in with the variegated. However, I do have a problem. And that problem is a kind of a sooty substance. You see here, look at the leaves here. Oh, it's horrible. And I'm going to read up as to what I should be doing. Now we can see that the new leaves, these little red leaves are starting, and this will look gorgeous once these red leaves come out. If you have a late frost, it can scorch these leaves because they do come out early. Oh, and in actual fact, I can see here on the rhododendron, it's also got this sooty stuff. So I'm pretty concerned about that. Not happy with that at all. And this rhododendron has got some really big buds. So that's going to flower nicely then later on. As will the Magnolia stellata. And it's got some of its flowers just starting here. And in fact, at the top where it's sunniest, I can see some of the flowers are out. There's my cherry tree. Oh, cherry blossom always looks lovely with a blue sky. Oh, there's some bumblebees up there. How lovely. The blossom doesn't last that long. It'll be starting to come off, probably starting next week, unfortunately. And if we move back a little bit, we come straight to the eucalyptus gunnii. I like to grow it here because it fills a gap above the hedge and gives a little bit more privacy to the garden. And this is where I cut it off last year. Look at that. And just look at these. It's grown, oh, 1.5 meters, hasn't it? Just what I wanted. Now this plant is interesting. It's an Elaeagnus, and I bought it as a variegated plant, and it promptly died on me. Well, I thought it had died, but in actual fact, it then started to grow again without the variegation. So I've left it. It can grow quite large, this plant. It's excellent for coastal gardens because it doesn't mind salt. It doesn't mind salt in the air. Elaeagnus. Not exactly a spectacular plant, but it's bushy, it's big, and it makes the garden look full. And in fact, what I've got here climbing through it is my rambling rose. So it's just climbing through there, and where else is it going? It's going off up there. So the roses will appear all over the place. And there is the base of the rambling rose. I haven't yet fed it. So I'll be giving it a lot of manure in the next week. And behind is my ornamental hawthorn. Oh, and here, this is interesting. Look at this, I've just seen clematis. Here we are. Now I cut this clematis back, it's way down here somewhere. Here's another bit of the clematis that's trying to grow up. Let's pop it up somewhere so it can grow up. So I cut these, there are two of them. Here's another one. Here's another one here. So these clematis, they are pruning group 3, tangutas. So you can cut them all the way back in the spring. Cut them to about 2 feet from the base or so, and they will then grow right up through your vegetation and then flower in late summer. Probably the easiest of the clematises to grow. They don't suffer from clematis wilt. You tidy them up every year, prune the whole lot back. I mean, I like that kind of pruning. Well, you know me, when I get pruning, I generally prune everything all the way back anyway, but with this pruning group 3 clematis, absolutely brilliant for growing up trees and bushes. Cut it all the way back to 2 feet now in March, and then by the end of the summer, there'll be flowers everywhere, and you don't know where they're going to turn up. They just turn up everywhere through these bushes and trees. I love that. Just go past the lilac, the traditional lilac, and I'll just pan up or tilt up. I'll just tilt up to the hawthorn, and there you can see the rambling rose that will flower in a few months, with the cherry behind and the blue sky. Just brilliant, just gorgeous. Love this time of the year. April right through May, and then June when everything's starting to get full. So exciting. We'll just have a little look at the path and see how that's doing. The plants either side of the path. We have the candy tuft, and oh, look at all those ladybirds. Lots of ladybirds sunning themselves on the leaves of this euonymus. I've cut that back quite a lot. Potentilla and the shocking pink lacecap hydrangea. And over here, we've got a candy tuft that's in flower. Oh, there's lots of bees around at the moment. The bells on the Pyrrhus are out. This Pyrrhus isn't suffering from that sooty black disease, so I'm happy with that. And then further along, as you know, I have lots of candy tuft. Here's another one. And the aubrietia tumbling over the wall. I love things tumbling over walls. Oh, and there's a bee. Bumblebee on the aubrietia. And then across from the aubrietia are the azaleas. First 2 flowers are out. Yet another candy tuft. You know me and the candy tuft. And And I have some large viburnum tinus, still in flower. Oh, and let me show you this. This is the Berberis darwinii. Now the reason I'm growing this is because the hedge behind, the privet hedge behind, is getting very thin. It's not a very healthy hedge, and so I'm now growing shrubs in front of it to maintain privacy. So when growing your shrubs, even though you want them high, you have to keep cutting them back, half back each time, let it grow up, then half back to keep it nice and thick. So as you can see here, there are some stems that are getting quite long. So as soon as these flowers are finished, I'll be cutting everything back like this. Wherever you cut, it's going to send up at least 2 shoots. So you're doubly thickening the shrub as you cut it back. Don't leave hedges and shrubs without cutting them back, otherwise they'll be spindly. It's my favourite time of the year. I'm glad you could join me today on my little wander around my English garden. I appreciate all the lovely viewers and subscribers I have on this channel, and I hope to see you next time in Paul T's World. Bye.